The twin moons of planet Nerya shone over the royal palace. It was a special night. The grand hall was filled with nobles wearing silver robes, their strange alien faces glowing under soft lights. This was the night when Princess Lira was supposed to find her bondmate, a partner who would stand by her side forever. But even as music played and the hall sparkled, a heavy sadness hung in the air. Princess Lira sat quietly on her throne, her pale blue skin smooth and flawless. Her long silver hair fell over her shoulders, but her cloudy white eyes did not see the beauty around her. Lira was blind. She had been blind since birth. Worse, her legs were weak and she walked slowly, needing help. In Neryan culture, strength and beauty mattered most. Many whispered that Lira was cursed. No one wanted to bond with a princess who could not fight or lead. The nobles gathered in circles, talking and laughing, but no one came close to Lira. She heard their whispers clearly. "Poor princess," one noble woman said. "She will sit alone tonight as always." Another laughed softly. Even a common worker would not bond with her. Lira's heart hurt, but she kept her face calm. She was trained to hide her feelings. But inside, she felt small, like she did not belong in this grand palace. Suddenly, the music stopped. The great doors at the end of the hall opened with a deep, echoing sound. The room fell silent as everyone turned to look. Standing in the doorway was a human. His clothes were simple, dark pants, a leather jacket, boots covered in dust from travel. He looked nothing like the proud, shining Neryan nobles. His short hair was messy, his face had a few scars, but his dark eyes were sharp and calm. He was not afraid. The nobles began to whisper again, this time louder. "A human? Here? How did he enter the palace? Why would a human come on this night?" But the human ignored them. He walked slowly but confidently through the hall, heading straight for Princess Lira. His footsteps echoed loudly in the silence. Lira could not see him, but she felt every step he took. It was as if the air itself changed when he entered. It felt warmer, stronger. He stopped right in front of her. The court was frozen in shock. No alien, noble or commoner, had stepped forward to bond with Lira. Yet here stood a human, a species most Neryans thought weak and unworthy. The human bowed low before her. His voice was calm, deep, and clear when he spoke. "My name is Kai," he said. "I come from Earth. I have heard of your ceremony. I wish to bond with you, Princess Lira." The nobles gasped. Some laughed cruelly. The royal advisor stepped forward quickly. "Human," he said coldly, "you do not understand our ways. This is not for you. No one would bond with a blind, weak princess. Go back." But Kai did not move. He raised his head, and his eyes met Lira's blind gaze. "I understand more than you think," he replied. "I offer myself freely." Princess Lira's hands trembled. Why was a human, a stranger, standing here when even her own people rejected her? She could sense something in Kai's voice, a truth, a calm strength that the other nobles did not have. The alien king, Lira's father, sat on a high throne, watching in silence. His face showed no emotion, but his eyes burned with thought. He finally spoke in a slow, deep voice that filled the hall. "Human, do you truly wish this bond? She is blind and weak. She cannot lead. You will share her shame." Kai nodded. "I wish this bond," he said simply. The king's eyes narrowed. "Then prove your worth," he said. "You may walk with her in the sacred bonding garden. If she accepts you there, the bond will be allowed." The nobles murmured. Many of them smiled cruelly, expecting the human to fail. The bonding garden was ancient, mysterious, and filled with strange powers. It had rejected many before. Kai turned back to Lira and gently offered his hand. "Princess," he said softly, "may I walk with you?" Lira hesitated. For so long she had been alone. For so long she had felt unwanted, unloved. Now in front of everyone, A human, a being from a distant world, was offering kindness when her own people gave her nothing but cold stares. Her fingers reached out slowly. She touched Kai's hand. It was warm and steady. For the first time in years, she felt safe. Lira stood, her legs trembling slightly. With Kai's help, she took one step forward, then another. The hall was silent, all eyes watching as the blind princess and the human stranger walked together toward the sacred garden. In that moment, something inside Lyra's heart stirred a tiny hope. She did not know who Kai truly was or why he had come, but she felt that her lonely life was about to change forever. The twin moons above the palace shone brighter, as if watching this strange and daring new bond begin. The cool night air surrounded the sacred bonding garden as Kai and Princess Lira stepped inside. The garden was silent. Tall glowing trees lined the path, their leaves shining softly in shades of blue and silver. Strange alien flowers gave off a sweet, sharp scent. Small lights floated in the air like tiny stars. Kai walked slowly beside Lira, holding her hand gently. Her steps were careful but shaky. She could not see the beauty around her, but she could feel the energy in this ancient place. It was a place of truth. The bonding garden could sense the hearts of those who entered. If a bond was false, the garden would reject it. Far behind them, alien nobles watched in silence from the shadows. Their eyes were cold and curious. Some smiled cruelly, expecting failure. After all, no one had ever chosen Lira, and certainly not a human. But Kai did not seem afraid. He looked around at the strange glowing plants, the ancient stone paths, and the carvings on the walls. His face was calm, but his mind was sharp. He knew this garden was watching them too. Lira finally spoke, her voice soft but full of hidden pain. Why did you come, human? Do you feel pity for me? Or are you playing some cruel game? Kai stopped and turned to her. No, he said simply. I do not pity you, and this is no game. Lira pulled her hand away from his for a moment, unsure. She could feel that he was different, but still, his actions made no sense. You know I cannot see, she said quietly. You know my body is weak. You will share my shame if we bond. Kai stepped closer. I do not see shame in you, princess, only strength. His words surprised her. No one had ever said such a thing to her before. You don't even know me, she whispered. Kai smiled gently. You are right. I don't know you yet, he said. But I came because I heard the truth about your people. They reject anyone who does not look strong. On Earth, we have learned that true strength is not only in muscles or perfect bodies. It is here. He touched his chest lightly, in the heart. Lyra's fingers trembled. For so long she had lived among people who judged her for what she could not do. But this human, he spoke differently. He saw something in her that no one else did. But the garden was not finished with them. As they walked deeper into its heart, the glowing trees began to hum softly. Strange blue mist rose from the ground. The path split into two. One path was wide, smooth, and bright. The other was narrow, dark, and filled with thorny vines. A deep voice echoed in the garden, not from any person, but from the garden itself. Choose your path, it said, loud and deep. Only a true bond can pass the trial. Lira froze. She could not see the paths. She could not lead the way. Kai, she said quietly, I cannot choose. I cannot even see them. Kai gently touched her shoulder. Then we will choose together, he said. He described the paths to her softly, the easy road and the hard one. Without hesitation, Lira spoke. The narrow path. The hard path, she said. Her voice calmed. Kai smiled. Good choice, he whispered. He took her hand firmly again, and together they stepped onto the dark, thorny path. Vines scratched at Kai's legs and arms, but he did not let go of Lira. The path grew steeper and sharp. Rocks cut at their boots. The mist thickened, making it hard to breathe. Behind them, the alien nobles whispered. They will fail soon, one said. The human is foolish. But Kai kept walking, guiding Lira carefully over each stone, around every thorn. And Lira, though blind, trusted his every step. Her grip was tight. Her head was high. As they reached the middle of the path, the ground itself began to shake. A sudden crack opened beneath them, a deep hole, black and endless. Lira gasped. We cannot cross this, she said. Kai did not panic. He knelt and whispered, Trust me, princess. Without warning, he lifted her gently into his arms. She was light, delicate. He held her close, and with all his strength, he jumped across the gap. His feet landed hard on the other side. He fell to one knee but did not drop her. Lira clutched his jacket tightly, her heart racing. She felt safe. Truly safe for the first time in her life. The path ahead suddenly glowed with soft light. The vines shrank back, the mist lifted. The deep voice spoke again. The first trial is past. Far back, the nobles watched in disbelief. No one had expected this. A human had passed the first trial, and with the blind princess in his arms, Lira touched Kai's face softly. Her fingers traced the scars on his skin. Why did you really come here, Kai? She asked again, her voice full of wonder. Kai looked at her with calm, honest eyes. Because, he whispered, I think you are stronger than anyone here. And I want to stand with you. The bonding garden pulsed softly with light, as if it approved. But more trials awaited them. Their journey had only just begun. The sacred bonding garden grew darker as Kai and Lira continued walking. The glowing trees now seemed taller, their silver branches bending gently toward the path. The air felt heavy, as if the garden itself was holding its breath. Lira's fingers stayed tightly wrapped around Kai's hand. She could not see where they were going, but she could sense that something was changing around them. The path felt smoother now, but colder too, almost like stone. Suddenly, all sound disappeared. No wind. No birds, even the soft hum of the glowing trees stopped. It was as if they had stepped into a place beyond sound, a place where nothing dared speak. Kai felt it too. His boots echoed faintly on the stone path, but even his footsteps felt distant. The silent garden, he realized. He had heard the name whispered earlier by the alien nobles, a place where many failed the bonding trial. Kai stopped. Before them was a large circular platform made of smooth black stone. In the middle stood a strange alien statue, shaped like a tall figure with outstretched arms. Its face was hidden under a hood, and strange carvings ran down its sides. As they stepped onto the platform, glowing words appeared at their feet, written in an ancient language that only Lira could understand. She spoke slowly, translating the words aloud. Only a true bond can break this silence. Only hearts that speak without words can pass. Kai looked around. There were no doors, no paths forward, no obvious challenge. Just silence. He turned to Lira. What does it mean? How can we speak without words? He asked softly. Lira closed her eyes. She could sense something, an invisible presence watching them. She had lived her whole life in darkness, but her other senses were sharp, much sharper than those of her people. She could feel Kai's heart beating. It was calm and steady, even here in this strange place. She let go of his hand slowly and reached up, touching his face gently. Her fingers moved carefully across his skin, his forehead, his cheeks, his jaw, the small scar under his right eye. Kai stayed completely still. He did not speak, but in that moment, he understood. This challenge was not about words. It was about trust, about feeling, about silent communication. Lira smiled softly. You are calm, she whispered, but you carry many wounds. Kai nodded silently. Then she placed her palm flat on his chest, feeling the strong beat of his heart. And slowly, without fear, she leaned forward and rested her forehead against his. In that quiet moment, where no words could exist, their bond became clear not just to them, but to the garden itself. A soft hum returned. The statue in the center glowed faintly. Then, to the shock of the alien nobles watching from afar, it bowed. The garden had accepted them. The silence was broken not by words, but by their shared understanding. A soft breeze returned, carrying the sweet scent of alien flowers. The path forward opened silently as a golden light appeared between the trees ahead. But before they could step forward, the statue spoke in a deep, echoing voice. "You have passed the second trial, but beware. The final test will reveal your deepest truths." Lira shivered. She felt the weight of those words. She knew that many had failed the final trial before. Kai squeezed her hand gently. "I'm not afraid," he said quietly. Lira nodded. "Then I will walk with you," she replied. As they stepped off the platform, Kai glanced back one last time. The statue's glowing eyes followed them, almost as if it were waiting to see if they would truly succeed. Far in the distance, hidden behind trees, the alien nobles whispered again. Some looked worried now. This human was doing the impossible. He was walking paths that even the strongest Neryans had feared. And he was doing it not with force or power, but with quiet courage. The silent garden faded behind them as they moved forward, step by step, toward whatever test lay ahead. Their bond was growing. And so was the mystery around Kai himself. Why was he really here? What was he hiding? The answers would come soon in the final trial. As Kai and Lira stepped beyond the silent garden, the air changed again. The path ahead was lit by soft golden lights floating gently above the ground. But the deeper they walked, the quieter it became, not with silence, but with a feeling of deep respect. The ancient trees here bent low, as if bowing to them. For the first time, Lira felt a strange warmth spreading through her chest. She had never made it this far before. No one had ever wanted to bond with her, so she had never been tested like this. But now, a human, a species her people had long thought weak, was beside her. And together they had passed 2 trials. Yet inside her heart, doubt still remained. Why did Kai really come? No one had ever cared for her before. Why him? Suddenly, the path opened into a wide clearing. In the center stood an old stone well, its walls covered in glowing symbols. Around it were small stone benches and tall candles that burned without flame. Kai paused and looked around. "Is this the final trial?" he asked softly, before Lira could answer. The voice of the garden returned, deep and clear. "The final trial will reveal truth, not strength. Each must share their deepest secret. Only honesty can unlock the way forward." The words echoed in the air like a warning. Kai looked at Lira gently. "Princess, what is your secret?" Lira froze. She had kept her secret hidden all her life. Even her father, the king, did not know. She took a trembling breath and spoke, her voice quiet but clear. "When I was born," she began, "the priests told my father that I would never be strong enough to lead. They said my blindness was a curse. But what they did not understand is that I see more than any of them." Kai tilted his head slightly. "What do you mean?" Lira lifted her pale hands and placed them over her eyes. "I cannot see faces or colors or light, but I can sense truth. I can feel when someone is lying. I can hear their hearts, even when they say nothing." Her voice trembled slightly as she continued. "That is why no one wanted to bond with me. My gift frightened them. In my presence, they could not hide their secrets. They feared I would uncover their lies, their shame, their guilt." She lowered her hands slowly. "That is why I was left alone." Kai stepped closer, his dark eyes filled with understanding. "So you have always been stronger than they knew," he whispered. Lira nodded gently. "But there is more," she admitted. "Even though I sense truth, I have always doubted myself. I have always felt unworthy. I have always been afraid that no one could ever truly love me." She lowered her head. That is my secret, Kai. Even with this gift, I felt alone and ashamed. The garden glowed softly as if honoring her honesty. Kai was quiet for a long moment. Then he took a deep breath. Now it was his turn. My secret, he said softly, is that I was sent here to spy on your people. Lira's breath caught. She lifted her head sharply. A spy? She whispered. Kai nodded slowly. When I left Earth, I was given orders to watch the Neryan court. My people believed that your kingdom was preparing for war. They wanted me to report everything, especially about your father, the king. Lira felt cold, but she kept listening. But when I arrived here, Kai continued, I saw you. I saw how they treated you. I saw the loneliness in your face, even though you never showed it. And I realized something. You were not preparing for war. You were trapped in a prison of your people's cruelty. His voice grew softer. So I broke my orders. I chose to walk this path with you, not because I was sent, but because I wanted to. Because I saw the courage in you. Because I believe in you. Lira's heart raced. Her gift told her he was telling the truth. The garden pulsed with light, stronger now, brighter. The candles around the well flared softly. The ancient voice spoke again. Your secrets have been shared. Your honesty has unlocked the path. In front of them, the old stone well cracked open. A glowing stairway appeared, leading down into a golden light. Lira reached out her hand to Kai. Her fingers no longer trembled. You could have lied, she said softly. You could have hidden this. Kai smiled gently. But you would have known. They shared a small laugh, a laugh filled with pain, truth, and something new. Trust. As they prepared to step onto the glowing stairway. Far behind them, hidden among the trees, the alien nobles watched in stunned silence. This human had passed all 3 trials, and more than that. The blind princess had accepted him, but deep in the shadows, a figure watched them, a noble with dark eyes filled with hate. He whispered under his breath, they think they've won, but the real test begins now. The story was far from over. The golden stairway led Kai and Lira into a vast underground chamber. The air smelled of old stone and ancient secrets. High above, glowing crystals lit the space with a cold blue light. Strange carvings covered the walls, images of Neryan warriors and scenes of great trials from long ago. In the center of the chamber was a wide circular arena made of polished stone. Around it, tall seats were carved directly into the rock. The alien nobles sat there now, their eyes sharp and filled with curiosity. They had followed silently, waiting for this moment. At the far end of the arena, King Varian Lira's father stood. Tall, his silver crown shining. His face was cold and unreadable. He raised his arm, and his voice boomed across the chamber. Human Kai, he said, you have walked the path of the garden and shared your truths. But a final challenge remains. If you truly wish to bond with my daughter, you must prove you can protect her. This is our way. Kai's jaw tightened. He had expected this. Neryan culture respected strength above all. King Varian pointed to the Padron, pointed to the center of the arena. You will face the trial of the fangs. The arena will test your courage, your skill, and your bond. If you fail, you will leave this place, and the bond will never be allowed. A heavy door on the side of the chamber rumbled and slid open. From the shadows stepped a creature, unlike any Kai had ever seen, a massive beast with black scales, 4 glowing red eyes, and a long barbed tail. Its claws scraped the stone, and sharp teeth glistened in its open mouth. The nobles whispered excitedly. The Shadow Fang. No outsider has ever survived it, one said. Lira's hand tightened around Kai's. She leaned close to his ear and whispered, that creature hunts by sound and fear. It can sense weakness. Kai nodded slowly. Then we must stay calm, he said. Quietly, a loud horn sounded. The challenge had begun. The Shadow Fang roared and charged straight toward them, its huge claws crashing on the stone floor. Kai did not run. Instead, he gently pushed Lira behind the low stone pillar and drew a simple blade from his belt, a weapon far too small for a beast this size. The nobles laughed coldly. A small human blade against the Shadow Fang? He will die quickly. But Kai moved carefully, his eyes calm. He dodged the beast's first attack, rolling smoothly under its claws. The Shadow Fang swung its tail, sharp as a blade itself, but Kai ducked again. Lira crouched behind the pillar, her eyes closed. She could feel Kai's heartbeat, steady and strong even now. And she could sense the beast's rage, a wild storm of hunger and hate. Kai, she whispered, it can't see well, but it feels your fear. Kai heard her voice clearly. He knew she was right. He breathed slowly, keeping his heart steady. His fear would only make the creature stronger. Suddenly, he stopped moving. He lowered his blade and stood still, completely still. The Shadow Fang paused, confused. It circled him slowly, growling. Its 4 red eyes narrowed, its nose sniffing the air. Kai closed his eyes and waited. Lira's gift, her ability to sense truth and emotions, guided him now. She whispered again, it is testing you. Don't fight its way. Fight your way. The nobles watched in stunned silence. No one had ever stood so calmly before the beast. Then Kai did something that shocked everyone. He dropped his blade onto the floor. Gasps filled the arena. The Shadow Fang lunged, its huge jaws open wide. But at the last second, Kai stepped forward, right under its attack, and placed a hand gently on the creature's snout. He did not strike. He did not run. He simply touched. The beast froze. Lira smiled softly. She could feel it too, the truth in Kai's heart. He was not here to kill. He was here to protect. The Shadow Fang slowly lowered its head. The nobles could not believe their eyes. King Varian rose to his feet, his expression hard to read. But he spoke clearly, his voice ringing across the chamber. The human has passed the trial. The arena lights softened. The Shadow Fang turned and padded slowly back into the shadows, leaving Kai and Lira alone at the center. Kai turned toward Lira and offered his hand once more. Without hesitation, she took it. Together they stood before the watching nobles and the king himself. In that moment, something had changed, not just between Kai and Lira, but in the hearts of all who witnessed this challenge. This human, this weak outsider, had won not by strength of arms, but by strength of heart. But even as they stood in triumph, a shadow moved among the nobles, an angry noble, whose eyes burned with hatred. He was not ready to accept this bond. The real danger was just beginning. The arena was quiet now. The Shadow Fang had returned to its dark cave. The nobles watched in silence as Kai and Lira stood together at the center of the stone floor, their hands joined. Even King Varian seemed impressed by the human's calm strength. But in the shadows, above the arena seats, one noble did not share the king's respect. Lord Tariq, his silver robes hid a small device in his sleeve, a thin, sharp whistle made from rare crystal. His eyes burned with rage. He hated humans. He hated weakness. And most of all, he hated that the blind princess was about to bond with an outsider. This bond must not be allowed, he whispered under his breath. His fingers pressed the whistle to his lips. The sound was too high for Neryan ears to hear. But not for the Shadow Fang. Deep in its cave, the beast froze. Its red eyes widened. The sound cut through its mind, filled it with pain. And then rage. The creature roared aloud. Terrible sound that made the nobles jump. Kai's body tensed immediately. He turned his head sharply toward the dark entrance. The Shadow Fang was charging again. This time, it did not hesitate. Its claws tore across the stone as it rushed straight toward Lira. The nobles shouted in shock. King Varian stood from his throne, his eyes wide with confusion and anger. This should not be happening. He roared. Lira felt the beast before she heard it. Her senses flared, the pure rage, the wild hunger, the terrible pain. She gasped, turning instinctively toward Kai. And Kai did not hesitate, not in a single smooth motion. He pushed Lira behind him and spread his arms wide. He had no weapon now. His blade lay forgotten on the floor. But he did not run. He did not shout. Instead, he lowered himself into a stance that looked almost too calm, his feet planted firmly, his hands open, his head raised. The nobles gasped again. He means to shield her with his own body. One whispered. The Shadow Fang leaped. Its huge jaws opened wide, rows of sharp teeth glistening in the light. At the last instant, Kai twisted just slightly, putting himself directly in its path. The beast's weight struck him full force. Lira screamed. Kai crashed onto the stone floor, the monster pinning him down. Its claws tore into his shoulder, and blood splashed across the arena. But still, he did not cry out. His eyes stayed open, fixed on Lira. In his gaze, there was no fear, only one message. You are safe. The nobles watched, frozen. None moved. Even King Varian stood still, unsure what to do. But then, something extraordinary happened. Lira stepped forward. Her legs were weak. Her body trembled. But she did not stop. She moved past the pillar where Kai had hidden her. She moved past the fallen blade. And she walked straight toward the Shadow Fang. Her blind eyes glowed softly, now a light from deep within her. Her gift, her ability to sense truth, flared stronger than ever. She could feel the pain inside the beast's mind, the confusion, the unnatural rage. She could sense the whistle's cruel command, echoing inside its head. She raised her arms and spoke, her voice calm but firm. Stop, she said. The Shadow Fang froze, its claws still pressed into Kai's chest. Its jaws still hovered inches from his face, but it did not strike again. Slowly, it turned its head toward Lira. She reached out her hand. I know your pain, she whispered. This is not your choice. You are being controlled. The glow in her blind eyes grew brighter, and suddenly, the crystal whistle in Lord Tarek's sleeve snapped in two, as if crushed by an invisible force. Lord Tarek shouted in shock and fear. Falling back into his seat, the sound stopped. The Shadow Fang shuddered. And then, it stepped back, lowering its huge head. A deep, rumbling sound came from its throat, a strange sound, almost like a bow of respect. The beast turned slowly and walked back into the shadows of its cave. The arena fell silent. Lira dropped to her knees beside Kai, her fingers gently touching his face. His eyes stayed open. His lips curled into a weak smile. You did it, he whispered. Tears filled her sightless eyes. No, she said softly. We did it. Above them, King Varian spoke at last. Enough, he declared. This bond is true. The nobles had no choice but to bow their heads. Even Lord Tarek, pale and trembling, could not speak. But deep inside his heart, he swore revenge. The story was not over yet. The real test was still to come. The air in the great arena felt heavy with silence as Kai lay on the cold stone floor, his body aching and blood still fresh on his shoulder. Lira knelt beside him, her hands gently pressing against his wound. Though she could not see, her fingers worked carefully, guided by instinct and the deep connection they now shared. Around them, the nobles sat frozen, unsure what to do next. They had seen something impossible, a human and a blind, weak princess defeating their greatest trial. And they had done it together, not with strength or weapons, but with trust and truth. King Varian slowly descended from his throne. His face was serious, his silver crown glinting in the crystal light. He stood before them and looked down at his daughter. For the first time in many years there was a softness in his gaze. Lira, he said quietly, you have passed the final test. And you, human Kai, you have shown courage and heart. The nobles bowed their heads reluctantly, accepting the king's decision. But before Kai could rise, a sharp cry rang out that it was Lord Tarek. His silver robe swept behind him as he stepped forward, his face twisted with anger. His voice was loud and bitter. "This bond cannot be allowed." He shouted, "She is blind, she is weak, and he is a foreign spy. You are making a mistake, my king." The arena fell into tense silence again. King Varian's face hardened, but before he could speak, Lira stood slowly, her weak legs shaking but firm. She raised her head toward Lord Tarek. "You fear this bond because you fear the truth," she said calmly. "I can sense your lies, Lord Tarek. I have always known them." The nobles turned their eyes toward Tarek. Lira stepped forward, her voice steady. "You betrayed the garden. You tried to control the beast. Your hatred of weakness. It is only a mask for your own fear." Tarek's mouth fell open in shock. He tried to speak, but no words came. Lira's gift exposed him completely. King Varian's voice rang out. "Guards, take Lord Tarek away. His crimes are clear." The guards moved quickly, seizing Tarek as he shouted in anger. But no one listened now. The nobles knew the truth, and so did the king. He turned to Kai and Lira, his expression softer than ever before. "This bond," he said, "is not a mistake. It is exactly what our people need." He stepped forward and raised both hands. In a clear, strong voice, he declared, "From this day forward, Princess Lira and Kai of Earth are one. Their bond is accepted by the throne and the garden alike." A deep, warm light spread through the arena. The garden itself seemed to approve, the glowing trees bending gently as if bowing. Even the Shadowfang, watching silently from its dark cave, lowered its great head in respect. Lira took Kai's hand and helped him stand. For the first time in her life, she felt no shame, no fear, no loneliness. Her blind eyes, once a symbol of weakness, were now a symbol of truth. Kai looked into her face, his own eyes filled with respect and quiet affection. "You saved me," he whispered. Lira smiled. "You saved me first," she replied. Softly. The nobles, one by one, began to bow, not to their king, but to the princess and the human who had shown them the meaning of true strength. Above them, the twin moons of Nerya shone brighter than ever before. In that moment, a new chapter began, not just for Kai and Lira, but for all of Nerya. A chapter where kindness was not weakness. A chapter where truth mattered more than appearances. And as the garden lights glowed softly around them, Kai and Lira walked side by side toward the palace gates. Their bond, tested and true, had changed everything. Lonely Princess was lonely no more, and the human, once a stranger, was now part of her story. Forever.